So, welcome back to another video from Grounded, home of mindfulness, meditation, self-exploration. Currently suffering kind of like really horrendous heat waves over in the UK. As you can see, I've got a bit of a sweat on, so adding to the normal shine from which I generally feel. But anyway, this video today is all about understanding the healing journey. So healing is a journey. Awakening is a journey. But I want to talk a little bit about what exactly we are healing and how healing happens. It's a very, very important video to understanding a part of the awakening process. Now, for most of us, we don't even recognize that we need any healing. For most of us, we're completely unaware of the hurt contained within us. And as I've mentioned in previous videos, we bypass the hurt by expressing and by projecting. So when we begin to really awaken, the first thing that we become aware of is this bypassing, is this expression of this painful emotions, these emotions that we feel like we can't carry, we don't want to carry, we don't want to feel, and so we push them out and we express. So the journey of healing is to first recognize that within you, because until you begin to even acknowledge that, because that aspect there is what is most easily recognized in you, the expression of pain, the expression of being upset, the expression of being hurt, the expression of being rejected, the expression of being made fun of. You notice all of these expressions are a pushing away. The energy is a pushing away. And what we're pushing against is that which is creating us to feel like this. And again, this is how we bypass, because we say it's this particular form, this particular object, this particular happening in our reality that is the reason for the way that I'm feeling. So as we move down the road of healing and understanding that there are even parts of us that need to be healed, the first thing that I want to make you aware of is this way of being, which you can all verify in your own experience. You can all verify and confirm what I'm speaking about. And again, it's the same way when you're thinking negatively, when you're feeling negatively. If you look at it, you have an object in your mind. You have a reason. So if you can become aware of that, which is the most recognizable aspect of yourself, from which I'm trying to direct your attention to, then that there is the parts of you that are unconscious, that have not been acknowledged, that have not been healed, that have not been let go of, that have not been integrated. Now, if you look at your day-to-day life, how many times are you triggered on that kind of level? And you have to be honest with yourself, because when you're honest, you're open. Honesty is always an openness. And the most important place we can be honest is with ourselves. So that brings about the recognition of the hurt within us in which we're unaware of, but I'm making it more aware of by demonstrating it in its most simplistic form to you, in your experience. So behind all of that projecting and behind all of that blame, are the unconscious painful aspects of yourself. And it's these painful unconscious aspects that are hidden within you that create so much suffering in your mind. It is these aspects within you that create this internal conflict you have. So the first steps to beginning your own healing process is realizing that there are parts of you that need healing. And then by realizing them parts, you will begin to acknowledge that more and more in your life. And as you begin to acknowledge you're bypassing, as you begin to acknowledge you're expressing, and as you begin to acknowledge making an object the focus of what you're feeling, then you can begin the next stage of that, which is shifting that focus from that external focus, from that projecting, from that bypassing, from that objectifying, and you can begin to look directly at that, begin to directly address that. So then whenever you feel that movement of emotion coming up, you'll be more aware of what I'm speaking about. And as that becomes, or as you become more aware of it, and you begin to notice it, and you begin to recognize it, you're at the very starting point of healing it. Because you cannot heal what you have not acknowledged. You cannot heal what you have not made conscious. So healing is a complete write-off for you if you can't acknowledge the most basic mechanism in which keeps it in a dark space within you. Now as you begin to recognize it, and as you begin to turn your focus internally, then you're starting the kind of next step, which is processing, understanding, feeling. As you begin to process and understand, what you're actually doing is you're leaving the object behind and you're tracking back the levels and moving to the root of it. So let me give you an example. Let's use a breakup. Let's say you're having a breakup, the other person's cut it off, and you're feeling these deep rejection wounds. Now if you turn your focus away from the person that's left you, and you turn inwards, you are faced with this wound. And it's then about communicating with the wound by allowing yourself to feel the emotion and understanding this wound. As you begin to understand this wound, you're coming down the layers of the wound and getting to the root of where it came. You see, for most of us, we want to hold on to the person that's broken up with us. Or if we're not holding on to the person because it's so done, we're looking for the next person, we're looking to grab, we're looking to hold on to something. But as we're becoming aware, we're turning focus inwards and we're tracing this back, we're feeling into it, because this rejection is a part of us. It is a part that we have developed by interpreting certain experiences. And unless this part is investigated, understood and healed, it will continue to attract more partners that make you feel rejected, because it is a part of you. So as we come into the wound, what we will find as we come through the levels and the layers of the wound is that this level, or this wound, comes all the way back to your childhood. All of these wounds that we carry in our adult lives are all from our childhood. So then what we find as we begin to feel and acknowledge the feelings is we begin to find a part of ourselves that we've abandoned and pushed away, that felt rejected. And as we begin to acknowledge that part, by not trying to avoid it, but by feeling it, by understanding it, by integrating it, and no longer suppressing it, the energy and the acknowledgement of that part begins to lift. And as you acknowledge it, you begin to heal it because you're acknowledging it. Because you're acknowledging that part. Because you're acknowledging that part of yourself, you are healing it. The acknowledgement of it is the healing of it. And as you acknowledge it, you acknowledge the part of you that was hurt, and you bring love and compassion to that part. That part then begins to lift. And as it begins to lift, you're beginning to integrate that part. You're bringing that part towards you. You're acknowledging it. You're bringing it to you. And as you're acknowledging and bringing all of these different parts that you have, you're becoming more whole as a person, more unified in your personality. You're no longer going to cling on to people. You're no longer going to jump to a next relationship, because you are going through these layers. And for many of us, we have many different layers, many different aspects that need to be healed within us. And as we go through life, we heal each and every one of these aspects by turning our focus inwards. And the more aspects we heal, the more united we become, the more whole we become, the more conscious we become. So this is one of the parts of the journey, but then people think that healing happens in one moment, and it doesn't. Healing is a journey over time of more and more integration, more and more acknowledgement, more and more feeling, more and more allowing yourself to feel these parts. The other thing that I see is when we get into spirituality, we shut a lot of stuff down and suppress stuff further. Like, oh, I shouldn't be judging because I'm now spiritual. Allow the judgment to be there. You're allowing all parts of yourself to be there. You're allowing your ego. You're not resisting your ego. You're allowing. You're integrating. You're healing. So healing doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in one session. Healing is a journey. But the more you heal, the less resistance you have in your life. The less emotional turbulence you have in your life, the less negative thinking you have in your life, the less resistance you have in your life, until the point where you've become so good at mastering your own healing that you are in a more constant state of being. And as we go through this healing, as we go through this practice, and as we become more conscious, and as we heal these parts, then these parts no longer attract the same situations. And so as you become more whole, there becomes a shift in your reality where you don't experience rejection, you don't experience lack, you don't experience unworthiness. You begin to experience the wholeness that you are, the love that you are, the fulfillment that you are, the purpose that you have. But it has to begin with acknowledging. And as you begin to acknowledge what I said in the start of this video, you open up the door to your own transformation. And as you take more hurt out of yourself, you take it out of the world. Till the next one, much love.